make this into a slideshow.
Yeah, I think if you go up to the very top, there's kind of a, yeah, now go a little bit to the right. There you go. Yep, that one.
All right. Okay, I'm Aaron Gillespie, Jeff Gillespie, my dad. Gillespie Family Farms, we call ourselves. We farm in Preston, Fountain, got some Lanesboro, and then over by Brattsburg area too. We farm conventional and organic. Trying to do cover crops and whatnot, but we got about 1,000 acres organic and a couple hundred acres of conventional land. Guess we've been organic since probably 2000. Started transitioning in 96, 97. So been in it for a while. Trying new things, I guess, isn't out of the realm for us. We seem to do it a lot. So yeah, anyways, if you guys have any questions while I'm going, feel free to ask questions. I hope you do, because it helps make things go a little better. This is a family. I got 2 older sisters and a younger brother.
Aaron, 1 second. I think the screen is frozen. Is anyone else seeing that too?
Yep, it's frozen on my end.
That's really weird. Maybe try exiting it and popping it up again.
Also, Aaron, if you could turn your volume up a little bit, or maybe speak a little closer to the computer.
Okay. I try exiting out then.
Yeah. Maybe even if you just go from, instead of doing the full presentation mode, just go from where you're at and just click down the slides.
Is that working?
Yeah, if you click on your family picture next.
Yep. Did it go?
No.
There
it is. Yep, that works.
Okay, I can just do that. That's fine.
Yep, that works.
So this is our family. We can't do anything without family. Family is important to us, so we all kind of work together. Not always on the farm, but we all have our parts. This is our newest addition. 3 weeks old now. I got 2 boys, 3, and this one is now 3 months just about. So that's exciting for us. And that's what we're all doing it for the future generation to come farm. And soil health, I think, is going to be a big part of that. And so it's exciting. This is kind of our closest farms. I know it's kind of all mingled together here. But we got a lot. We probably have, how many acres here in between? 600 acres there. It's all within a couple miles of each other. And that's where most of our beef cows are too, or all of our beef cows. We kind of have a good chunk of pasture, probably 300 acres of pasture that we can rotate through too, which really helps. We got about 100, well, right now we got about 130 beef cows. And they rotate through probably 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 pastures. And then here coming up, we'll talk about it later, but we'll be rotating them through some of the cropping ground too. Most of all that can be fenced off, except for a chunk of it to the left there, but most of all that can be fenced off and grazed, which really helps out. Last year, I think we didn't probably start feeding hay till, I don't know, end of December or something. So that was really nice. Okay. We're mostly organic now. Like I said, we got about 1,000 acres organic and a couple hundred conventional. Our rotation, everybody talks about a rotation. Well, I'm not really sure that we have a certain rotation for organic crops. Just depends on where it's at. But we do corn, soybeans, sometimes oats, alfalfa, canning peas, rye, peas and oats for forage, and cover crops for forage as well. Forage for the cows and the bugs in the soil. So
Corn would be our biggest.
corn is definitely our biggest crop. We probably keep half to half, right around half of our organic acres are usually try to be in corn. The other half are either in canning peas, alfalfa, oats, cover crop, something of the sort. So we got a mixture of rotations that we kind of do. But if we were to do one, it'd be corn, oats, alfalfa with peas and oats, or we do corn, oats, canning peas, cover crop, then back to corn. Would be another one that we've done quite a bit. So if you got any questions or ideas on other ways to rotate too, I'm sure open to different things too. But last year, going into the winter, I guess we ended up having 75% of our acres had to live in root in the ground via hay, cover crops, interseeded corn. We probably had half of the 2019 crop that was interseeded, and I'll have some pictures of some of that here this spring, what it looked like. There was stuff coming, so that was pretty exciting to see. We were trying to get most of the acres covered this year, but
I just added up, and we're going to have about 85%.
We're 85% going into winter, so that's kind of exciting this year. We beat last year.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to kind of walk through.
Aaron, looks like you got a question from Phil. Phil, if you want to take yourself off mute.
Sure. So Aaron, the rye, do you harvest that, or is that all plowed back down?
For the most part, we either plow it down. We did combine some last year and this year. It wasn't great yield, but we didn't get it seeded till probably, in 2019, I seeded it in November 23rd.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah, I got some pictures of it coming up, but we did combine some of that, and the other stuff this year, we baled it and wrapped it. We have all the haying equipment to do that, so I baled it and wrapped it, and then we went in with sorghum and millet, which we'll have some pictures of that too. So.
I see. How do I stop raising my hand there?
What's that?
I want to put my hand down. Okay.
Okay.
I got it. Doing great. Thank you very much.
Yep.
We did plow under a bunch of the rye too, though.
Yeah, we did.
This spring.
Yep, we did. Yeah, I guess we probably plowed under more than we harvested.
Yeah,
so.
A lot more.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was more of a mixture, I guess.
That's true.
Yep. So we kind of got an experiment field. It's 7 acres, and we had some rye seeded on that in 19. I guess would be the fall of 18 I seeded it.
Yep.
And our whole plan was to roller crimp soybeans into it, but that never happened. The rye never got thick enough. But so then I frost seeded it in the spring of 19 with red clover. And you can see the picture of the rye was coming at that point. That was March 19. Had a little sprout on it. So I think rye probably grow on cement if it could, so it would. But pretty cool. Here we get into March and first part of April, you can see the red clover coming already in that field and the rye really growing. And it hadn't grown any yet in 2018 and it hadn't had any growth, the rye hadn't. So here we go again. May. So we aborted the roller crimping, the rye, because it wasn't thick enough to suppress any weeds, I guess, for soybeans. So we aborted that, and then we decided, well, I think we'll combine the rye, we'll leave the clover, and see what happens. So we combined the rye, and that wasn't anything great. I think maybe, I don't know, 30 bushel possibly. It wasn't anything special, but then we all use that, and then we use that for seed. But the cool thing was all the clover that came. So this field before was probably all foxtail, and we frost seeded that clover in, and the next picture I got coming up would be that field. There's a little foxtail in there, but those were spots I missed with when I was frost seeding. But the foxtail just disappeared, which is really cool because we have trouble with foxtail on the organic side of things. And so we thought, wow, this is great. And the clover really just took over the whole field, and it did really well. So we ended up combining it. And then I ended up cutting it off and baling it. We got some 25 probably round bales of that, of this clover and rye mix. And then in the fall, we grazed that field, probably 10 days. And then this spring again, we grazed it for probably 10 days before we planted it, I guess. So this field also got the 60-inch corn on it here this year. So I got some pictures of that coming up. We'll get into 60-inch corn, I guess, now. The 60-inch corn, we're still learning. I guess we got 3 different fields. So we got 35 acres, 7-acre chunk, 10-acre chunk, and a 20 or 18-acre chunk. And they're all planted at different times, I guess. And we're still learning, I guess. We don't quite have it figured out. In the organic side, we got quite a few weeds that we couldn't take care of, but some of the corn looks really good, except for the really last planted stuff that I have on this field.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got anything to add. Yeah.
Just so in an organic situation, we have to cultivate to take care of the weeds, and we did not modify a cultivator to cultivate 60-inch corn. So we had this. Well, we have this missing row, and of course, where no corn grows, the weeds really grow good. So we had this row of weeds, even though we cultivated it. So we had to, and then of course, there's more sun into that because it's planted on, the corn is 60 inches apart, so there's more sun. So the weeds grew even better than they normally would. But so we had to go in there with a bush hog mower. We bought a 48-inch bush hog mower and cut those weeds off. And I know Aaron's going to talk about that a little bit now too. So.
Somebody have a question? Yeah. So we got some more pictures of that, but so we're trying to figure out how to control the weeds in between the row if we're going to continue doing the 60-inch. But if you're like a non-organic person, you can spray and do that. Wow, I think we got some huge potential for grazing in the fall with being able to take care of the weeds chemically and plant something in there. We have a neighbor that did some, and he did like 15 acres or something. He planted soybeans in between the row and then bulk spread some cover crop. And that looks really good, really good. There's going to be a lot of stuff there for cows to eat later on. He's actually thinking about chopping it all and hoping because we didn't get moisture to kind of get some of the cover crop growing. So he was kind of chop maybe some of it and hope the cover crop gets going a little bit better, but it looks pretty good.
Is there a reason why you can't do cover crops in that gap?
We did do cover crops in it, but when we mowed, see, I interseeded and then we mowed it, and the interseeding was really coming good. And then we mowed it, and I think we smothered out our cover crop then, because so we should have done it the other way, I guess. But that's how we're still learning. But it is coming, but just not as good as what we had hoped. So.
Question for you.
Yep.
Does your 60-inch corn yield as much corn per acre as the taller varieties?
Well, this is our first year doing it, so not really sure. I got some pictures later on where I think the corn looks like it's going to do just as good as my 30-inch corn. I mean, it looks really good.
Does that seem like the future to you?
What's that?
Does that seem like the future to you? It must use less water.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the future or not. I think it has good potential where you got animals. I guess that's where mostly I'm looking at for grazing later on for forage is our kind of goal.
If we could figure out how to control the weeds in between and get a cover crop going,
Yeah.
There's future just on that, even if you don't have cattle, but it certainly works better where you can graze it.
Thank you.
Yep.
In an organic situation. Yep.
This was the cows going on that clover field, I guess, here this spring. I had video of it, but I guess videos don't seem to work very good on here. So let's get that. Here I was grazing them through. Every morning I'd let them into a new chunk. That was kind of fun to watch them go through it. So they lasted out there a lot longer than I thought they would. And clover really held them nice. So
We actually had to mow part of it.
Yeah.
And bale part of it because it was time to get the corn planted. They would have been on there another week, I think.
Yeah, it really would have lasted a long time. So this is our interseeder cultivator. That's 12-row. We got a Velmar box set up on it. And we meter out, the seeds metered out on it. So this is how we set it up. We've changed a few things on it right away. They got some deflector plates on in this next picture right above the shank. We had some deflector plates there that kind of spread it out in between the row, but then we found kind of, maybe it's just on the organic side that we didn't really like that just because it was spreading our seeds out all over the place. And we already have competition from weeds. So we decided to try to just concentrate it right in the middle of the 30-inch row, which seems to really work out good for us. We can get good growth and optimize the sunlight in between the corn stalks. So that's kind of how we decided to do it. This cultivator is just a one shank cultivator. So it mixes the seed in pretty good.
There was a question about whether or not you increase the seed count with the 60-inch rows.
We did add in more clover.
I think, are you talking about corn seed or cover crop seed?
Corn seed? Yeah. We did, in the row, I planted 60,000 in the row. And I have a precision planter with V drives, so I got the electric drives. I can do it really easily, which is nice. I can skip rows just as I'm planting. So, but other people that haven't do that, they'd fill it in with beans or something like that, which we did in our experiment field. We filled the gap rows with beans, but they didn't come up very good, I guess. No, weeds competed them out. So, yeah. So we're kind of going for that 30,000 population. I guess we could have maybe bumped it a little bit more, but that's kind of what you get a corn plant every one inch or something, or 2
Well, I
inches.
think it's 3 inches.
3 inches at 60,000. That's quite a bit. That's pretty thick. But I got some pictures of some of the ears of corn that we got in the row, and they looks really good. And I had about a 50 to 56,000 final stand in some of it. So more picture of the interseeder. I mean, this is how we set it up. I guess it's not. Is it perfect? Probably not. We wish maybe we had a different metering system because we add in some seed. Say I want to do 6 pounds. Well, we can't get down low enough, so we had to bulk it up with some oats or something a little bit bigger to get our pounds on. And then I just have the electric switch that kind of turns it on and off, and we meter it out that way. Then back to that 60-inch corn experiment. The experiment field, we got, this is after we mowed it. Corn this field just looked tough all the time, but this is the mix that we use in there: cowpeas, forage radish, German millet, kale, red clover, fixation clover. We did 15 pounds an acre, cost about $20. Is it coming up in there right now? Nah, not really. But the foxtail just outcompeted it, so we kind of got a tough spot right there. But in our other fields that look a little bit better, they're really doing.
Yeah.
There's stuff coming in there.
There's going to be corn in this field, though.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons is it was planted really late. It was probably only planted. You know when it was planted? About.
Oh, it was like
8th of June, maybe.
Yeah, so it was pretty late planted, 8th of June. Yeah.
That's why we had to cut some of that clover, because it was getting so late to plant corn. We had to do that. So.
Yep. I did put some sheep out in that 60-inch corn for a little bit, and this is what the field looks like right now. Can you see any corn? I don't know, not really. It's mostly weeds. The sheep, they kind of enjoyed it for a day or two, and then they figured out how to get out of my fence, and so now they're not in it anymore. I don't know if I'll let them back in it or not. They're kind of sheep. I got some sheep last year, and they're kind of homebodies apparently. They like to stay by the barn, and that's about it. So
I think we could graze that with cattle, though. That's probably what we'll do. We'll strip graze, maybe.
Yeah, if we decide not to take it to harvest, we'll just graze it off with cows. Yeah.
But there's a lot of feed for them to eat.
So this is what we hoped 60-inch corn would look like with covers in between. This is actually in our 30-inch corn, where we took out. Dad must have cultivated out a roll of corn or something, and the 60 is really. I mean, that's a true 60 with the covers in between, and that's probably, I don't know, knee high in there. The covers are, so it really looks good. And I'd seen that last year when we done cover crop interseeding. And I was kind of hoping that we'd get that this year, but we struggle with the weeds, I guess. But that's really cool how it looks there. This is in our 60-inch corn that looks a little bit better, so the covers are coming in there. They're just a lot smaller. So the clover, there's a bunch of clover in there, and that should come good, and that'll stay into the spring and look pretty nice this next spring. Here's a 60-inch corn. You can see the weeds the foxtail in between the rows coming up there. But
that was before I cut it.
That was before we cut it, but we had to interseed it at that point. Here's a better field of 60-inch corn. It looks pretty good. Here's that same field the picture on the left and the 4-wheeler there, those are some of the ears that I pulled off at that time. And then this other picture to the right, I just took here a few days ago. And that corn, I mean, if I do my calculations right, it looks like it should do 200 plus bushel corn, organic, 60-inch corn, which looks really good, I guess, but we'll see what happens, you know. The 30-inch stuff looks to be about the same in that area. I had some 30-inch corn. So the possibility of it, I guess, looks like it could be still pretty good. We're just not sure. You know, we got to pick our fields, I think, where we're going to have better weed control and do some more modifying. Might have to set up a cultivator just for 60-inch corn and do our interseeding, you know, accordingly, and might have to mow it again. But, you know, we get into a lot of work here too. But I'm not sure it's any more than our 30-inch corn, what we're used to. So I think the 60-inch corn has some potential where we're going to graze. Definitely has potential in your non-organic acres if you can graze. And I think there's opportunity there, I guess. But yeah, I don't know if there's any other questions on the 60-inch or anything else.
There's a question. Have you considered doing every other row 60-inch and every other row 30-inch?
I did in this field here. Actually, I think you can almost see it. I did 60, 30, 60. This is an 18-acre field. I started out doing 30s around the outside, and then I did 60s, and then I did a pass of 30-inch, and then I did back to 60, 30, 60, and then a pass of 30, and then back to 60. So we'll see what yield comparisons are and how that looks. The population, I went from 60,000 60-inch, and then I did 45,000 for 60, 30, 60, and then I did 34,000 for the 30-inch. That's all in-row population.
So the weed control in the 30 is a lot better.
Yeah.
And actually, if you look, is the cover crop coming in better? Or?
I didn't look to see if the cover, but I imagine the cover is coming better because actually in my 30-inch corn, the cover looks like it's just as good or better than my 60-inch corn. But I think it's all due to the timing of our when we mowed it off, I guess.
Yeah.
We smothered it out when we mowed it off.
I drove on it because it was real tiny when I drove on it, and then we smothered it with the weeds that we cut, and then it didn't rain for quite a while, for about 6 weeks or something like that. That didn't help much either.
We do have someone on the iPhone. If they want to unmute themselves, they raise their hand, have a question.
Yeah, if you got cows, if you went into a pasture and grazed it off short in the spring, and then strip tilled 60-inch corn into it, and right before it comes up, graze it off again, how do you think that would work out?
You know, I think we thought about doing that. What we actually did when we did the 60-inch corn in the experiment field that we grazed off the clover, and then we decided to strip till it. So we strip tilled it and then planted it. And then when we did that, the foxtail came, and maybe we should have grazed it off then, but we did think about grazing it to stay ahead of the weeds, I guess. But the corn, I mean, corn comes back if you eat it off, you know, so.
I know some people who actually go out and mow it off, I've heard of, and which would be similar to grazing it off. So it's certainly worth a try. I don't know if I do it on a big scale, but yeah.
I know one thing that we wish we wouldn't have maybe done or left half of the field would have been to just straight no-till the 60-inch corn instead of strip-tilling it, because we brought a lot of weed seed when we strip-tilled it, and that's what came. All the foxtail, I mean, I had no foxtail in the field before. All of a sudden I strip-tilled it, and the field was covered in foxtail. So I wish it maybe would have just no-tilled it, I guess.
So, yeah, another year, that's probably what we would do.
Yeah, next year we'll probably try that, and maybe we'll graze some of it off too. I don't know. It's I guess that's why you got. I think everybody should have an experiment field that they can kind of work with and try things out on. So.
Thanks, Aaron and Jeff. I'm gonna cut us off here. All right, go ahead, Aaron.
All right. Now we're going to get into some of the 30-inch corn interseeding that we got and kind of look at that. We got probably 300 acres of that, I suppose, that we got interseeded, the 30-inch corn, all organic. I would say we had a better establishment of the interseeding so far from what I can see. I'm saying most of that's probably due to weed control, better weed control on it. Yield, we'll see what's going to be better. Not really sure yet. Some of that 60-inch corn looks pretty good for what it is. I mean, we definitely find that while interseeding the last couple of years that we've done it, the earlier you can do it, the better. Now, on the organic side, that kind of comes down to controlling weeds too. Can I control my weeds at ankle high or ankle and knee high and cultivate it once and be done? That'd be nice, but it's not always the case. Depends on rain and weather. But just the sheer time to get it done, because on that, a lot of that corn was planted on the 28th of May, and it was already, we were cultivating the last time the 28th of June or 27th of June. So there's 4 weeks. No, it was 4 weeks from the time it was planted to the time it was the last time through cultivating, and to get through everything and get all the other stuff done. Sometimes getting the interseeding done timely is a thing too. So I guess our process mostly on all of our corn ground is, well, we rotary hoe it at least once, sometimes twice, and we cultivate it usually at least twice. So
every week we're over all that ground. It kind of like in 4 weeks.
Yeah, we were busy.
Yeah, we were busy.
This is in some 30-inch organic corn. The cover in this cornfield is coming, but it's not great. I had a lot of weed. Well, you can see a lot of grasses coming in there. The grasses are what really kill out any interseeding or corn or anything, but which we kind of get in trouble with. But there I am in action there. This is the 30-inch interseed mix that we use this year. Red clover, Persine clover, purple top turnip, sub-zero kale. And in some of these pictures of the past, you could see the kale and the turnips really coming good, and the clover. The clover will really make it into the spring pretty good condition, I'm thinking. So
even some of the turnip.
Yeah, the turnips, we had turnips over winter last year, and well, a few of the fields. Yeah.
We had to bulk that up with some oats too.
Yeah, we had to bulk with our, well, it's a Valmar box that we got. We had to bulk it with oats just to get our rate on, I guess. But this is what the mix looked like. Here, this was, well, the last cultivation that I got through it on this field. This is what it looked like when I was interseeding. Yeah, this field is really clean, which is always nice. This is what it looked like here a few days ago. Most of this is that, I think they call it quick weed or something. That this particular field has a history of that weed in it, but it doesn't really affect much. But you can see some of the kale and turnips in there, and the clover is coming. And then once I dug in, there's some. So it's in there and it's coming good. Actually, I got a really good establishment in that cornfield, the clover. There's kind of, it looks like, it's 30-inch interseeded organic corn. Looks really good. So we kind of got high hopes of that field. But that's been a really good field for us as well. But that definitely yield checks around 200 or something, maybe a little bit more. This is some more interseeding. This particular spot actually was interseeded. Oh, I don't know. The corn must have been about, it was taller than a foot tall maybe. And the weeds were really good in it, so I only had to do it the one time. But I got through 12 rows, and then I had to quit. And I wish I would have just done the whole field, because the amount of biomass I got here compared to, I think I couldn't get back into the field till a week later. And the corn really grew a lot. And there's significant less amount of cover crop coming in between the rows there just a week later. But corn was growing so fast, like I said, we planted it to the last cultivation in a month. So, but there's going to be a lot there for cows to eat, come this fall. Here's, I think this might have been one of the fields of the prior anyways, but you can see the cover crop coming up there in the left in between the row, really coming good, the interseeding. And last year and this year, we had pretty good luck, getting that catch. And that's kind of why we set up the interseeder like we did, to blow the cover crop right in between the 30-inch rows. We really get a good catch in between the 30-inch rows at that point. And I think we get the best growth out of it.
Gets the most sun.
Gets the most sun, This was probably planted the end of May, I suppose.
What farm is that?
Yeah, I'm not sure which field it is for sure, but yeah. Here's some more interseeding coming. I don't know, maybe you guys have seen some of how's your interseeding looking? Is it about the same? These are recent pictures. Some of the guys that have interseeded. This is back to that one field that I had that I interseeded the 1 week. And I wish I would have done the whole field. Obviously, this is right next to the hay field I got, so it's getting more sunlight in there. But the potential for this stuff, this is why I really got excited about 60-inch corn and getting the interseeding growing, because I know it can grow in there. But you just got to figure out the right combination to get it going how it should be. But I think it's definitely got huge potential. This is a cornfield last fall that we had. You can see the interseeding. I think that's some annual rye and kale and turnips and clover were in that. And it stuck it out. We had probably, I think somebody told me one time, you want to have about 6 inches of growth going in the canopy, kind of. And this definitely had that last year. We had the interseeding last year that we had really had an awesome catch and good growth before it all canopied. And then when the corn started dying off, it really came in some of the fields, not all of them, depending on when we got the snow or not. But when we combined it. Yep. So we do a lot of canning peas, summer forage as well. And all that ground will get turned into cover crops, and we'll go to we'll get manure on it, and then it'll probably go to corn next year. Some of it will go to soybeans. We've got one field that we're going to try to roller crimp if we get a good establishment of rye, which we had a decent one. We got it seeded already, and it's up and it looks really good. So I'm hoping we get some good roller crimping soybeans for next year to have pictures of. I'll kind of show some of the mixes that we got this summer. This is some of the sorghum and millet we did after we had peas and oats that we cut and baled and wrapped it for the cows, and then we cut and baled this and wrapped it for the cows. And now it's kind of growing back.
And we're grazing.
I think we'll graze it late this fall. There'll be another field to graze off. Should probably get quite a few days of grazing on it, I would think. I bet we almost get a month on it, maybe more. It's a 20-acre field, so that'll be kind of fun to try out here this winter or fall. This is a rye I seeded here last fall, the 23rd of November, and this is what it looked like here in May 23rd. So I was really surprised how it came and looked. I did probably 30 acres. Did probably 30 acres, and we combined, I don't know, 7 acres of it for seed, and we used that already. That worked out really good. And then we baled the rest of it, and we put that same sorghum and millet on it. So rye really is cool. I think anytime you can to get rye on, get it done.
That did really well as late as you drilled it, Aaron.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I got high-speed disc as well. So I think that night, the night before, I went over it with my Lemkin, and then I drilled it that morning. I tried to get it all drilled before, because it was warming up, and I tried to get it drilled before it got all muddy, but I still got my drill all muddy. But,
good.
Yeah. This is some of the mix, all grazing cover crop mix that we did after some canning peas. You can go through the list there. Seems to be coming up really good. We added rye into it. And
That rain was really welcome. It wasn't coming too good till it rained.
We seeded after canning peas and oats. We did that seeding in probably about the 20th of August, something like that. And this is what it looks like now here, coming up. This is the grazing mix. So I think we got 14th of August, I guess we seeded it.
A lot of it. 13th, 14th.
We'll end up grazing all this. This is kind of on the home farm there where we got all the cows. We got, there's 100 acres of it, I suppose, that will get grazed off this fall along with corn stalks. Probably strip, I don't know if we'll try to strip graze it or just run them into the whole field farm area is what we did last year, and they kind of ate all the cover crop first, and then they went into the corn stalks. So there's better ways to do it. A little more.
A question of where you get your cover crop seed.
I actually sell some for Agassiz seeds, so that's where I've been getting it from. Yeah. Or we get organic seed too from Albert Lee. Yep. This is what some of it looked like last year. This was a rye, radish, and vetch, and there's clover in there too. That's kind of a mix that we use quite often after canning crops, and then we go to corn with it after we add manure. Really works well. This is what it kind of looked like this winter, and kind of a cool thing with this cover crop and whatnot. I know Dad had one of our renters call them and say, man, it's sure nice to have a nice green cover crop there all winter. So they were really enjoy that. I see I got some questions or. Okay. This is another field. So we had that, this was canning peas before, then we came back with that, well, you can see it in the back, the rye, radish, vetch, and then we had probably a 3-way clover mix, and vetch and radish was in there too. I took that down here. I got a picture. We took that down, and then we planted organic corn in it probably the next day. And that was probably some of our, I mean, we do that quite often, but last year, that was definitely our best looking organic cornfield. This is what it looked like. Actually, I only cultivated it once, and I interseeded at this time when I cultivated. You can see some of the clover coming back, didn't get killed off there, but this was some pretty awesome corn. This was the interseeding coming in it. And that did really well. And then this is this spring, that annual rye came back right in the row. And I don't know if anybody else has kind of seen that or not, but we thought that was pretty cool coming back.
So when we talk about living root, that was in the soil all winter. That's what that was. It was living, so, which is a good thing.
This is that 160-inch cornfield that we got. Actually, we had this mixture on. This is some kale, turnips, and hairy vetch, and there was some clover in the rye. And see, the purple top turnips overwintered, like the whole field of it, which I was really surprised about. But we ended up grazing that field this spring. It actually worked out for once. We've been trying to graze it. We graze it as we calve late. We calve in the, well, not late, but we calve May 1st, end of April, May 1st. So we let the cows out at this point, and they calved, but I don't know, 50% of the cows calved out there as I grazed them through this paddock. And then we planted the 60-inch organic corn in there afterwards. That was probably about the 14th of May. I think we planted that.
I had a question. Are you able to reduce your nitrogen input by growing that clover mix?
Well, I guess our standard, our protocol, I guess, would be we always have a green manure crop going to corn, and we always have some kind of manure on it. And then
that's our only.
That's all we do for our organic corn crop, I guess. So we haven't necessarily tried. Let's say we skipped the manure. I guess we haven't tried that. If our green manure crop would be enough, I don't know if we want to try that or not, but
that's something we could.
We could try sometime. Yep. This is that same field we had rye in it last year. My son Tucker, we grazed the cows through at this point, or heifers I was grazing through. Probably should have grazed a little earlier, but this is when they got to it. So now I'm into some of the non-organic stuff I got. We frost seeded oats in the corn stalks probably the middle of March, and then we worked some of it and we no-tilled the other part of this bean field. And actually, when we worked it again, the oats came back like they were seeded. They really got a nice catch of oats there in the picture on the left, and we sprayed it off. And man, the beans look really good in there. So I think it's cool to get either rye or oats in the spring, fall. Get it going where you're gonna have some corn, beans. Definitely in beans, there's a lot of potential there. Did no-till some organic beans into some rye in that November 23rd seeded rye. Well, before I planted any organic corn on May 4th, and that stuff looks. It's a weedy mess. I don't know. It's 3 acres. It's kind of an experiment field again, and we thought we'd try it out and see what happened. But the rye wasn't thick enough. I mean, you can see some gaps on the picture on the left there where I missed with the drill, and the weeds there are definitely a considerable amount more than where I had the rye. So I know the rye is doing something, suppressing weeds, which is encouraging, I guess. But
For a long time, the beans looked pretty good though,
yeah, the beans looked really good for quite a while. So
till the
Did you
weeds.
say that was that rye spring seeded? So did it not go through vernalization?
nope, this was fall seeded rye,
Or was false?
but it not necessarily didn't germinate, but it made seed heads though. Yep.
Yeah.
In the fall, I didn't seed it till November 23rd. I'm pretty sure it didn't sprout at all after that. So, yep. This is one of our pastures in Sun Tucker again. I mean, this is what we're really all about, having family out. It's fun to see kids growing up with the cows and in the cornfields. And I was lucky enough to grow up on the farm, and now my kids are too. So we just want to pass things down to the next generation. I guess that's all I got on my presentation here. I hope you guys got a lot of questions for us.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Aaron and Jeff. That was awesome.
I know when you get into a presentation like this, it's hard to kind of get over everything. We do a lot of different things here. So to really condense it and try to get it all in pictures and show you what we're doing is kind of hard. But if anybody who ever wants to contact us or anything, you can sure feel welcome to do this. So come out and see our farm.
Aaron, would you mind sharing your contact information in the chat?
Yeah.
So I'm going to say, if you have questions for Aaron and Jeff, just hold on to them for a few minutes. Since we are over time, I'm going to run us through our concluding stuff from the LSP side, and then we can take more time for questions after that. Okay, let's see.
What will you continue to do? What has worked well, or what would you tweak for next year? And the other question is, where would you suggest starting if you were just starting to experiment with new things on your farm?
What are we going to continue to do? I guess we're probably going to continue to try to raise some more 60-inch corn and figure out how we can do it better. I know there's people that are doing it. I guess our goal with 60-inch corn was, 1, to graze it, and 2, if we can't graze it, we thought maybe we got a field that we could get a heavy clover mix in between, and then we'd rotate our corn in between the 60s every other year. So I don't know if we can make that happen or not. We got one field we're going to try it on, but the clover's not really coming great. So we'll see if we can make it happen. Now, that way we got more of a, I mean, in the organic world, I guess corn is, well, it was king. Now I would say soybeans are probably king. So we're probably going to try, we got a field set up hopefully for roller crimping, rye, going to soybeans, organic soybeans. I think with this whole regenerative ag and organic and everything, we'd like to be more no-till, but we can't really. But I guess we're not perfect, and our system isn't perfect, and nobody's system is perfect, but we're trying to do the best we can. And I guess if we can get to more no-till or less till, that would be helpful, I think, for the soil. It's not necessarily all obtainable with organic, but there are ways of doing it, and people are doing it. So yeah, that's kind of what we're pursuing. I'm not sure if we can get there or not or what, but I think at the end of the day, we just want to be good stewards of of our land and have something to pass on. And I think we're doing that.
What was the second question?
What has worked well for us?
Well, the second question is, what would you suggest starting? Where would you suggest starting if you were starting with experimenting on your farm?
Just plant some rye. And I've heard of people having a no-till garden or something. If that's what you want to start with there, seed some rye into it, and throw some seeds in there. Yep, I've heard of people doing that. Had really good luck.
Yep. Rye would be the first thing to plant.
Yep.
Plant it this week.
Yep. Or whenever you want. Rye grows anytime.
Yeah, or November 23rd, or Christmas time. Or that one guy in our chat, he plants it in the spring.
Yeah.
So.
Any other questions?
So I have one, Gillespie's. When you talk about crimping your rye, is that with is that an attachment in front of your planter, or is that something you pull behind a tractor?
Well, they have attachments that do go on planters. I think Dawn or maybe even Yetter makes an attachment you can put on your planter frame and roll and crimp. But I think they also have them like you put on your 3-point, or people have them that would go on your loader or something like that. Usually they're probably like a 15-footer or something like that. I don't know if it's H&I or I&J is a manufacturing company out. And there's other people that have made their own. But I think what we would do is we'd plant our beans probably in 30s and then come back at anthesis or at heading out in pollen, and then you roll it. So with that crimper, and the idea is that you want to have like, I think 6,000 to 8,000 pounds of biomass, which however you indicate that. But I think if it looks like there's a good stand of rye and you're going to smother things out by rolling it, then you get good weed suppression that way. Not saying you're going to have perfect, but yeah. I think the more biomass you can have and the earlier you plant your rye, the better it works.
All right, but you would plant your beans, and then much later when the beans are started, you would come and crimp your rye. Is that what you're saying?
Yep. I'd maybe time it like a 2-week difference or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They say you can, well, I went to a field day on middle of August, and those beans were 6 inches tall already, and he roller crimped it and they didn't look like they hurt him at all.
I can't believe it.
So yeah.
Okay.
But it crimped it was oats, and it wasn't rye that he was crimping, but it was oats, and it crimped that off really nice. So yeah, that worked pretty good. I was surprised.
Because I guess that ain't gonna work, but the crimper on the planter looks just kind of fascinating, a one-pass thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Someone's in the chat is saying this.
Oh.
Yeah, I suppose it would. It's kind of like stressing it, burning it, or if you use a burner or something. Beans do crazy things. Beans are almost like rye.
Frozen? Whoa. Did I just freeze on you guys?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. I was saying that Aaron Silva from Wisconsin is a researcher who's been doing work on roller crimping at the trifoliate stage. But Aaron, you're saying that they were even crimping later than that?
Well, in this particular field day, they did. It was a demonstration plot. You know, I think the beans were planted the 1st of August or something, and they're roller crimping, or maybe it was the 20th of August or 20th of July, and then they roller crimped them on the 15th of August.
Great.
But,
So I'm going to, I've transferred the polling ability to Robin here. So we're going to try and do this poll again and see if it pops up. Robin, would you mind launching that thing?
Launched.
Oh, looks like people are seeing it. Great.
Presentation.
of course.
All right, Robin, I'm not seeing the poll, so it's looking like people are finished up.
We've got 11 out of 21 that have voted. You just tell me when you'd like me to end.
I think you probably can end it now.
Okay.
And then if you have the options, you could share the results so we can see what everyone's trying out.
So I share the results.
Yeah.
Okay.
If anything cool is sticking out, say it. I'm from my end, I can't see anything. I don't know what's going on.
Where do we vote Jeff off the island? Is that
I was gonna say, people thought the presentation was terrible. Just
oh, no.
All right, great. Thanks for doing that, Robin. All right, well, if there's any last minute questions, please ask them now. Otherwise, I think we can shut this down. Looks like we just got a question come in from Mark. From a business standpoint, how do you justify cover crop costs on acres you do not intend to graze?
Well, you're pumping carbon into the ground and helping the soil bugs, keeping the root growing. It's all part of your soil, keeping it moving.
From a business standpoint, yeah. I mean, like we talked about, for the next generation.
Yeah.
It's hard to put a dollar figure on that, except we know that we are improving our soil health,
And we're
holding soil so it doesn't wash. And
trying to self-maintain. I mean, at being organic, we can't add any synthetic fertilizer or whatever, but we so cover crops are kind of our way to keep everything in the soil mineralizing and moving as it should.
I got a question for you too. Like, how do you prefer to sort of measure soil health on your farm? Like, what kind of observations are you making regularly, or what sticks out to you as like a point of success?
I would say tilth or worm population, seeing worms, seeing mycorrhiza fungi working on your dry matter. Yeah. We don't really, as far as sampling, I don't know. Soil health samples you can do, but you got to do them at a certain time of year and at a repetitive time of year in the same spot.
And that's
It
just
costs money.
and that's just a snapshot of that particular point at that particular day. But I think just digging, taking a spade out and digging in the soil, and if you see that tilt that we're talking about, that's a good sign. And yeah, we could have better music.
I'll work on my musical taste.
We'll recruit you as DJ, Jeff.
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't interest anybody else. So
Give you a new name of Sir Mix-a-Lot and set up the jams.
DJ Jeff.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Can everyone give a virtual round of applause for Aaron and Jeff? Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And again, it was great seeing everyone be able to make it on to this Zoom. It's great seeing your faces and hearing your voices.